It's not like I like you, right? But God said, I don't see anything attractive about this lady, but God has said, I'm going to her and I'm just going with the God said.
You are making a choice and you know that you are making a lifetime decision. Yes, God will lead you, but you are still going to make a decision.
Sometimes when people talk from a standpoint or a perspective, we are always full of influences. So people are actually bundles of emotions and experiences. You can be spiritual and not have a vision where they know.
Yeah, the best way you can get to do is in the gathering of believers.
I don't want a church boy. I don't want someone that goes to church because they are too spiritual, because you have to get this. Marriage as it were, life as it were is actually spiritual. There are certain ladies that maybe are like, I don't want church boys because of the kind of life we want. As the lady that is in that relationship leading to the marriage, it is a decision to say, Good day everyone, my name is Samuel Oluwadbami and welcome to another episode of the School of Good. This is the second special episode and it's the Church Boys Hangout Part 2. So we are going to be introducing my guests in the studio, starting from my far right. We have Omotola. Thank you for coming again. We have a new face, a newcomer. Ade Vodara. Yes, and we have the man of the word, man of grace.
Hi guys, so good to be back here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for doing this with us. Yeah, as usual, the purpose of this episode is to give a scriptural perspective, right, on matters pertaining to the male man. All right, so we are just going to go right into it. If you've not been in, if you are just coming for the first time, you need to check part 1 there. We talked about who a church boy is, right? And we just gave definitions, and we also we touched on fashion and things like that. So then we are going to be going even a bit more technical, right? A bit more deeper, a bit more real, right? Concerning the things that I believe many people have always had questions about the male man and about how guys, church boys handle things. And I believe this is going to be a blessing. We are going to be laughing, right? And of course, we are just know that in all our jests and everything, ensure that you take your words, right? In everything we are saying, there's going to be your word, and there's going to be your word for instruction, right? For your word for direction, your word for correction, right? So that we can be better as believers. As I always say, our words are not, they are not cast in stone. But as we always say, when we, give certain recommendations, is also good, just like the Berean Church, for you to go back and check and just verify for yourself. Okay, these things that has been said, of course, they should be according to Scripture, and they should be things that we can emulate. Having said that, one final thing I want to say, I think I said it in one of my podcasts, is that when we always talk about ancient landmark, I don't know why I'm starting with this, but I believe that anything that we're going to be like expressing should be things that can stand the test of time, right? Ancient landmark that is only applicable to Nigeria is a Nigerian landmark, all right? So, and we should just pay attention to those things. So we are moving straight into it. I'll be starting with, so let's start with Favor. As per newcomer, yes. So
let's initiate it.
Now, so we had a conversation, right? Somebody literally, reached out to a friend of mine, and which all of us have had pieces of that, where people reach out to you and be like, "It's not like I like you, right? But God said that." So, and coming with, what do you think, right? Someone being sincere now and is like, "I don't see anything attractive about this lady, right? We are starting a relationship. I don't see anything attractive about this lady, but God has said." So, and I'm going to her and I'm just going with the God said, Now, let me give you a practical example of, I think we had someone like that in the body of Christ. So to tell you that we are not saying this, we are not talking down on their sincerity. I think someone like Daddy Mike, I think he mentioned something like that, how they had had different exact. And, some guys may not just know the best way to, to come. Yes, to present their things, right? So it's not like we know that there are sincere guys out there. They know that they've actually heard God. So how do they approach a lady after they've actually heard God? and they don't go off on the wrong foot.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much for the question. Actually, I believe it's that something works for some people because now he made mention of maybe that he might now that he might have family,
Yeah.
and that it worked for him does not mean that's like a clear cut pattern for how to go about things because there are ways to go about things and you are making a choice and you know that you are making a lifetime decision when it comes to this kind of decision and so it's meant to be done properly. The decision should be done properly and before you reach out to somebody, yes, you heard God, right? Even though you heard God and you will like to proceed, it's very important for you to still get to know the person. It's one of the things that works that you get to know the person, get to know how the person thinks. It's very important because that mindset is going to be raising your children, and it is very important for you to familiarize yourself with that mindset now. Know how the person thinks, know about the person's faith, know about the person's growth, because before you can just go ahead, yes, God will lead you, but you are still going to make a decision. The decision making process is on you. So when you're about to make this lifetime decision, it's important for you to still do background check, even though not that you are not trusting God with your decision now, but because you are human and there are a lot of things that could influence what you heard. For example, I was telling Sam, I think sometimes back that you see emotion can be doctored, emotions can be engineered, and trust me, you can hear the voice of your emotion and think you heard God. So that's the thing, and it is important for you to calm down at this point and make the decision wisely. First thing first, check who this person is. I've engaged the person in conversations. It's very important. If a person that you cannot converse with, it's not wise to go ahead and ask the person out. You can't converse for over 30 minutes. You can't converse for because what are you going to be doing in the relationship? Okay, you're going to be praying, establishing. No, now it's wrong.
Maybe.
So that's how it works. So it's better for you to do this background check, look at how this person works and how this person think, how does he work with what background is this person coming from. It's very important because if you are married, you are coming from a family where you have siblings. Let's say, okay, for a guy now, you have females siblings now. It's going to be different from your experience is going to be different from somebody. You are going to meet somebody who has daddy issues, who does not have any daddy issues, who does not have brothers. So you are coming from different background. It's important to know all these things. Even though God led you, you should still know this because that will help the basis of the relationship. Because it's still decision.
Wow, thank you so much. Amazing one right there. I'm going to be moving to Relade now. Right, I want to go a bit more deeper. Right, so there are certain ladies that maybe are like I don't want church boys because so like I don't want to write church boys. I don't want to have them to do with church boys. So is that the right statement to say? And number two, what is the kind of advice you give somebody like that has made up her mind? Like I feel like church boys are not they are not caring, they don't care. They say they are not romantic or they just believe that once you are a believer, you are out there to make marriage miserable for them, right? So what do you say about that? And because of some now go to the extreme of saying they want a church boy, but that you are dealing with a bishop, you get just a sprinkle of. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I think I would want to assume that those people are Christians, right?
Yes.
Actually, I want to assume they are believers. So if they have the
because those are real issues, right? And like people actually have those mindsets, right? Some people believe that I can never marry from this church. Like I can never marry from church. I can marry Coco exactly.
Well, actually, I think most of the times, actually, people are actually bundles of emotions and experiences. So, most of the times when people talk from a standpoint or a perspective, we are always product of influences, environment, people we've had, experiences we've had. So, but nevertheless, our experiences don't really justify our actions. That's the truth. So, because when you say, I don't want a church boy, I don't want someone that goes to church because they are too spiritual, because you have to get this. Marriage as it were, life as it were is actually spiritual. So when you say I don't want a church boy, you don't want a church boy, and the thing about marriage and relationship is that you make your decision. Okay, so it's to say, let's say you are a lady now. So and okay, let's say I'm a lady, you are a guy. So I'm not saying, oh, I don't want to marry you because you are a church boy. So when we look at other stuff, nothing is wrong. I think you are doing well. I think you are fine. I think you know direction of how you want things to turn out. You have plans and things are going as they should. But my own condition is that you are not, like you are a church boy, that I should not consider you. So I think the first question that the lady should be asked is actually a question of identity. So because when you understand what it means to be a believer, there are some things that should not be negotiable. When we talk about relationship as it were, one of the basic things about relationship, before we check other things, that a believer, like, it's just so basic to say that, it's just so funny that sometimes some people come and, when people come, when you talk to people and people talk to you about relationship, sometimes you almost want to skip the part that is he a believer, because you just believe that you should know it. Like, you should not come and talk to me that somebody is not a believer, that you like the person. Like, you almost want to skip that part.
Yes.
Yeah, but in this generation, just ask every question. You can never be too sure. So the question of identity and question of understanding about identity should actually be asked.
But actually, they're asking certain questions. What they're not really asking is not really the church boy thing. They're asking maybe the way church boys behave. So what do you do? What do you do to church boys to give the lady a different perspective?
The thing is that I think both parties, actually, both the church boys
And especially, I think maybe many guys don't know how to articulate a lady's emotion. So maybe that's why they be like, they are not. I don't know, guys. I'm trying to interpret for them now. Maybe they are not. Yeah, they don't. They don't know how to communicate on an emotional level, and it's so true. Especially in church and stuff like that. Like, even somebody can be like, even you're so good, I know, and don't know how to check up, which is like basic, right? Or don't know how to even say how are you or something like that. But like, just up to you in a way, you're like, guy, you are relating with lady, you're not relating with a fellow guy, and things like that. What do you think maybe guys can do to adjust, or is it that the guys are actually fine? Is the lady that needs to just marry them the way they are and move on?
Well, no, really, actually, the truth is that for both parties, there will actually be compromise, actually, because you can't, we always. I think I was talking to someone and we were having a conversation. I think it's along the lines of relationship. Because most of the times, the problem, oftentimes, both parties always have is that we always come with our imagination, things we've seen in movies, things we've imagined growing up. So that we so those perfect scenarios, those perfect people, and whereas the person imagining is not even perfect, so it's all fine. So it's actually two imperfect people coming together. So there will be some, like I used to say that when two people are coming together, you have to understand that you're coming from different backgrounds. That's even so basic. Even if you are coming from the same background, there will be some things that are different, personalities and all of those stuff. So you might be better at some things, while the other person is better at some other things. So that means you lean on the person's strengths, right? You lean on the person's strengths. The person leans on your strength, and that's how we come together for a relationship. So when you say that, okay, should the church boys, what should they do, or the ladies, what should they do? The truth is that despite the fact that we want to come together to actually make things work, that doesn't mean that we should not learn. So the guys should learn emotional intelligence. Actually, that's part of how to build relationship with people. You should know how to relate with people emotionally. You should know how to read emotions rather. Sorry. You should have empathy. You should be able to say, okay, it looks like this is not the best time to say this. It looks like, let me take it slow here. Okay, it looks like I think there's something I can do to show better how I feel. Sometimes you can feel it, you're just like, not the best.
Wow.
Yes, you understand, but you can say, okay, there is a better way to address how I feel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's actually learning emotional intelligence. So, and actually, I think both parties actually need to learn that, because you have to understand that as much as people are different. So there are some people that their strengths, they can actually go that wide to like show something because they've learned it, but there's some people that they've not learned that much. So you need to know how to balance together.
But I know where your intended partner is, and how to,
weaknesses. So
amazing. Well, I was going to ask, I want a follow-up question with Tola now. Yeah. So what are your thoughts around brothers going for sisters that quote and unquote they believe that they have made themselves more attractive rather than the conservative ones? Is it that the conservative ones should now become rebellious because it's a reality, right? And quote and unquote, or is it that it's the brothers that need to realize that there's also treasure in vessels? I just said the treasures in vessels.
So
conservative brothers.
Alright, so conservative brothers, right? I mean, conservative says. Alright, so I think one of the first things I just want to establish is the fact that I think maybe this might be for I believe this just goes anger, but definitely back on start watching it. So I think one thing I just want to mention is the fact that there is nothing wrong with you being conservative, right? In the sense that it's depending on the location you find yourself. I mean, certainly you tend to leadership of the church in which you are under, right? So definitely there is because now we need to define hot,
Yeah, we're being attractive.
so let's just say being attractive, right? But now being attractive, you could go and start thinking that. Because I mean, there are some Christian stars nowadays that they expose themselves, right? So so definitely being hot in this case is not. It's
not that.
Yeah, it's not that. Because if that is not kept, the simply conservative stars can now start feeling like, oh, maybe there's nobody for you, right? And that's not true. There's somebody for you, right? Even with your so-called
Being conservative.
right?
There's problem for you.
So now, but why is it that guys are seemingly heading towards that similarity? It's just, I think one of the just understand by the makeup of minds. Is what we see that, Yeah, that's how
Exactly.
what men see.
Men are moved by what they see.
What they see attractive, and that's very important. So what I would just say is that if I mean now I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at some movies that I watch, maybe all this similarly England, the Queen of England. I mean their dressing is not. I mean, I see some of their dressing is. I mean, they're just
quite modest. Yes.
I mean, like what that bullet, and they still look
very attractive.
Very attractive. So I feel like it's not about the old what's called this. So even in your conservative, you can still be attractive.
You can still be attractive.
Yeah. So I feel like it's just I feel like the sisters now, right? They just need to probably work on that in the sense that yes, you still keep your uniqueness, you keep your beliefs about your conservative, but you still look attractive, right? I mean, we have examples. I mean, I'm thinking of Tipuka Ushika. I mean, exactly. I'm seeing always, and she still looks very attractive. So it's not. I don't want to make it some very sensitive. I don't want to make some sensitive.
Exactly.
For sisters now, right? So, for the guys, you just have to have it that guys are actually moved by what they see, right? So, and obviously, it's one of the things that we're considering. Apart from the fact that God is that I'm actually attracted to this person, right? So you just have to. I mean, maybe just have to. Just have to be own end, right? And just accept that that's what guys.
Amazing, very very good. Now to favor, we've seen this pop the balloon things trending and all of that. So literally, so like some things that were seemingly impossible in like 10, 20, 30 years ago now are happening. And people are literally choosing spouses by entering a room full of strangers, right? I hope people are not taking people home from that.
Is that real?
I hope not. I sincerely hope not. No, that's when some people saw it for the first time, but it's from a trend.
Wow.
Yes, so it's from a trend. So like entering a room full of strangers and I really hope that the people are not going home with people from there. But I sure believe that there will be some sort of matchmaking. Maybe you cannot get to know each other afterwards and things like that. That's how bad things have become. And weird enough, you might see some Christians that don't have issues, with things like that. In terms of like selecting. So yeah. So why has it gotten so bad as though like we cannot, people now have to like, from dating applications, people now have to like host physical meetings and line people up and literally, just based on externalities. Somebody say why they pop the balloon and it's because of I don't like the way you're high, right, or you don't have beards. You get like, so like and whether we like it or not, all these things our stars are seeing it and it's influencing, right? And we brothers are seeing it. It's influencing the way people actually make selections. Yes, people make choices. So what do you think should we pay attention to in first and foremost in how we select, right? Then secondly, where we select. You get, so someone might say, okay, yes, I know I'm ready, but how do I, position myself, right? So how to select and where to select, right? Especially, of course, from guys and also from ladies' perspective.
All right. Thank you
for one more thing, sorry, before I go, some people even believe that it's the NYC they should go and select. So like that mindset of like, this is I've done school, then now I'm ready for marriage, I'm going to NYC with the mindset of selecting. So of course I believe there's nothing wrong with that idea, but thinking that I'm going to NYC for that purpose, that's that's an issue of where to select. So what do you think?
I just finished my NYC.
First man for the job.
So trust me, I know this is very true.
Yeah.
Many people came to come for the sole purpose of
life partners.
No, I did not.
Wow.
Yes, thank you.
Or you took one.
I did not.
Or you almost.
All right. Like I mentioned, the first time I talked, I mentioned that the decision of marriage is a long-term thing, and it is very important that there is so much attention that is being paid to this decision. Now, you can't tell me that you made a very good observation of somebody by just coming into a room and looking at him. Okay, there's no beard there, then that means you're a bad person. I can't sort of knowledge. That's
anything you see, you have to bear with it.
But that's a very bad way to make decisions.
Word of knowledge.
That's a very bad. By the way,
word of knowledge, not you. Just for it.
I'm sure that who permits this expression would not have sense. Like they are very handsome, they are very
actually, yeah.
But when we got close, I met someone. I was so shocked. Like wow, they said beauty without braids. I was so shocked to see somebody like that in flesh. So so trust me, you can't even trust externalities. You can't. It's not something that could be trusted. So it's very important for you to make this decision with so much intentionality. Like I said the other time, this mindset that the mindset of the person you are choosing is going to raise your kids. It's going to live with you for you. Can you entrust your kids with somebody that you don't have sense? It could. So it is very important. This kind of perspective, like just meeting people and just starting relationship anyhow, is very bad and it's going to be catastrophic. Trust me, it is going to end up very badly. And when it gets to where to get people, I think I'm safe to say, the best place you can get people is in the garden of believers. Trust me, people know to get sense.
So as we do the things of the spirit,
yes,
we select.
Yes,
open your eyes. And watch out. You see that? Yes. As I give you down those words. Yeah. You see that?
As I was saying.
Outside is not funny.
Outside is not funny. Many people are covering a lot. People go smile and they go cover a lot. There are some people, they are not nice. They are not kind. They might smile to you because when emotion gets in the way now, trust me, they will be nice to you. But are they really kind? Make sure that Because if you don't build the friendship, build the relationship now, and how will you build that when you are just picking somebody in a room, or you are just getting to meet them online and you are starting? I'm not saying in some cases, I'm talking about online dating now. I'm not saying it did not work for some people. Actually, there are some people who, yeah, that works for them. But trust me, you will still go through the same process of building friendship, getting to know them, building communication, and all of those things. Is you can't do without it. If you skip that process, you are going to pay for it in the relationship. So it's very important to note that. And as I said, the safest place is in the garden of believers, because there are some things that you won't need to talk about again. No, I'm not saying you should not talk about. You won't need to correct again, because you are engaging somebody who has a Holy Spirit, somebody who is governed by the Spirit of God,
someone who has a pastor,
somebody that you could talk to, somebody that is teachable. Now that's a safe place. Even with the safe place now,
Even you cannot believe
even so why not rely the process and just
amazing. I want to throw a question to Paula, then I'll come back to Laura Day. So I think we're already wrapping up, but I wanted to ask you, there are many sisters that are like, church brother, boy, you don't have money no more.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts? And like, what is it the fault of the brothers that they are still in Adulam?
Okay.
That they are still in the secret place.
Wow.
Right, and that means they cannot like sister and say, go through the journey with me. We have fathers of faith that they built together, and why just because I don't have money right now, you now say you can't journey with me, exactly. Okay, and the truth is that we don't know. Some people say it and they don't even have vision. So how does a man, you get, like, it's true, you get. And some people, you can be spiritual and not have a vision, where they know. And so how do you balance that as a, because I truly believe that if the woman sees your vision, she might be excited. So maybe you have vision, you don't have to communicate it, and things like that. And maybe she's not even interested in your vision. Your vision is not a vision. What are your thoughts around all those conversations?
Well, first now I was really like saying we should have money too.
Thank you. Don't forget the camera. Okay. Thank you. Don't catch me.
Let me be carrying the camera.
Okay.
Right, so now I think you mentioned some of the things that I would like to say. Right. Is it possible that a guy can be wanting to be in a relationship with a sister, right, and then probably physically everything's never did, right? I want to say I believe that as a lady truly likes you, like if a lady truly likes you, she really likes you. Right, and the man, you said it's not spiritual without vision. That's quite true. So I'm assuming that the man has a vision, right? And it's also because one of the issues also is the fact that some people actually know how to, like you said, they don't actually explain that. They don't have to say things that so I'm doing. They don't even. You have a qualification, but you don't even know how you want to you don't know what you say. You're just like, it's like I'm saying that like this. You are not, from that we're saying that you are confused. Bro, you are not, it's not like, and because the pattern is that the man is supposed to be the guy. So I'm supposed to trust you in my life for you to be able to lead me. So, and I believe now, since you don't have the evidence, right? So, the evidence you actually have is in your communication skills, right? How you able to actually like break down, this is my journey and all. So, that's if you can actually successfully fulfill that step of being able to wow let me use that word, wow right, in communication and vision, and she truly likes you, I believe it's something that can work. And now, that will also be the fact that you're actually seeing evidences that this guy is actually hardworking and actually working towards the vision. But now some people say they have vision, they're not doing anything about it. So you must be able to, if you can,
like, the work ethic will be obvious.
To show us that it's not just that he has a vision, he's doing something. It's like he's actively in something. Like, you might not even have funny, yeah, sometimes the late man have more. I think was enough. I was telling a man of God, Pastor Ayachani also, was telling out that his wife, seemingly, by the time they were entering a relationship, his wife she had traveled abroad. He said all he could afford to buy her those kinds of those video. Like that was just said. I said she liked all this that video. So she said she saw the fact that he doesn't have right, but he's actually showing that okay, I want to, yeah, I have something that okay, like okay, maybe when I'm going to, I know say that I don't have money, I don't have money. I'm not even making effort. Yes, of the end that okay, yes, you know, but at least yeah, you got sweet.
Yes, actually. Yes. Because many the guys don't do that because they feel like I don't have money, so they don't say anything.
So show like you might not have the big money or the work is those little things. I mean, they able to like show that. So they were in a situation whereby literally the lady was, let me say, 10 times better than me, right? Or he was, I mean, and obviously he was a boy of God, not a man of God. So it was a boy of God, not a man of God. But she could actually see that, oh, this guy is actually working towards something. And like I said, she likes him. So if I'm not saying we're a guy, if actually the lady likes you, because I mean I don't understand, are we supposed to start a relationship and all your financial responsibilities now on me? Is that your plan? Do you get now? I'm saying that as I'm saying that I'm not going to
go and yes,
we are not marrying you yet. Relationship. Why is that? I mean, if I've communicated with you clearly, you can see it, then you should be able to okay. And I say this in that women, the way they make their marriage choices like career choices, in the sense that they are thinking that yes, they may be all the future advances. Yeah, so if you're able to like communicate your future well, and like I said, she likes you and you are showing the dots.
State your case.
Yeah, present your case. Right, and you're actually showing the thoughtfulness in those little steps. Maybe she's doing a business. You can so so that you actually have something in your life. I believe that will really help you.
Amazing. That's my last question. Amazing. So this is for you. Yeah. So now we're talking about ministry now, but like I think many ladies are, because I've seen that play out in several conversations that you're a ministry boy, is as though you are not paying attention. So you get to your finances. There are some people like all of us here now, we have one work or the other we are doing, but it's not uncommon among believers not for you to be in ministry. I know there is some form of ministry you get, but for you to be in ministry and not be doing anything as regards finances at all, and yet still be pushing for marriage. Okay. Because like to be very fair, so you get on brothers, we've actually had amazing testimonies from fathers where they are like, I started ministry, I didn't have anything, but I was focused and all. But honestly, it's a problem for the ladies because that security guards do you get. So what's the way out for a brother where what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, I think you said, what are my thoughts? So I think these are my thoughts. So I think really, like a question like this, there is no really one way, because the truth is that one of the things I've learned is that anything that involves the will of a man, you have to understand that the man will do it the way the man wants to do it. And when I mean man now, I'm being generic. I mean people generally now. So because when you say, okay, somebody is in, like for example, you're citing some examples, you're talking about some fathers of faith, how that when they started, though, to be very, very candid, their time is different from our times. Okay. Because our own days now, because of, and I think I was talking to somebody, we were having a conversation, and I was telling the person that, when we were in part one, when I was in part one, you could hardly say that somebody was working as a part one student. Like people that were even working, you just see like, why? That was how you would see it when we were in part one. Okay. But fast forward, some 6 years after, if you are not working, you are fast forward. So when you look at it, it's because of how the environment is, how the economy is, how the economy is. And that thing is that because of the kind of life we want. So everybody in a way kind of very rarely imagine a kind of life they want. The point is that if they are not still working, you know, there's time I was thinking about, if you are not still working, if you are not earning the money you are earning, will you still be living and you still be alive? Most probably. But you might not have the kind of life you want. So I would say that as the lady that is in that relationship leading to the marriage, that the man of God is pushing ahead for the marriage, but he's not working, but he's trusting God. It is your decision to say, do you want to stay? Because now you have to understand that if he's pushing ahead for a marriage, that means he's convincing you, like, you know, I think prior to the question, just building up from the question he answered, that means he's convincing you that this is God's plan for him. God has told him to, I think there was time we were doing school of mission and pastor was talking about full-time ministry. How that God can communicate to someone that is full-time ministry, that don't do any other thing with what I've put in your hands. So, and later I was now putting a balance to it that sometimes when your church is not sufficient enough to cater your needs, have sense. Unless you have strict instructions from God. Now, it is now the man of God's responsibility and God's responsibility to convince the woman of God or the woman that want to follow him on that journey to say this is a safe journey. So if there is no that conviction, for an example, look at the lady does not, if the lady is not convinced, if there is no that conviction, she should not go ahead. Imagine, you know, sometimes we have to understand that God is not complicated. So, for an example, look at Mary's case. God knew after Mary, I'm very sure Mary must have spoken to Joseph. Joseph did not hear. Joseph, and God waited till Joseph was asleep. The time he would hear, and he saw it. And that's God. So that would be Mary and God's responsibility to make Joseph. So if you have that vision and you are pushing it and it's God's plan, you are sure it's God's plan, it is your responsibility and God's responsibility to convey that revelation, that message to that woman. If the message and revelation is not conveyed, the woman has the right, and in fact, I want to say by scripture standard, not to go ahead. Yes. So because she cannot base her life based on what she's not sure. Exactly. So by scripture standard, especially after there are many people that have used laziness, God did not say anything. Exactly. They use that laziness as a platform. Exactly. Yeah, like you should be able to provide for your family, be able to provide for your family. Yes. Yeah, it's what that can provide for that. So if you are not convinced, don't go ahead. If you are convinced, shut all noises outside and be focused that it is God's plan. So don't look at the immediate that this kind of life you want now. Know that it is God's plan and you are on God's plan. Okay, beautiful, amazing. We are going to have good one actually. We are going to have like concluding thoughts from all of them, but just what he said is so powerful, right? There are many ladies that build on the guy's convictions. It's so wrong, right? Like, because you've seen the man of God, right, and you've seen the child of God, like, this man cannot be wrong. So, and this man is actually out, and you are not even you are not even trying to be convinced yourself at all, right? Or any small little quote and unquote, anything you can hold on to as confirmation is what you hold on to, right? You are not coming down to realize that as much as this is this man's decision, this is also your decision. Realize that once you make that decision, you don't have a decision again. There's nothing like your husband does not have sense. He's not you are not a fool's wife. You understand? Your decision stops at the place where you choose that man. And regardless of how respectable, regardless of how how convinced that you are about this man's vision and this man's spirituality, you must realize that you yourself, this is also your decision, right? And let nobody, I think we can give our final thoughts on that. So as we say our final thoughts, if anybody that can touch on that, people that want to use spirituality to pressure you, God can say, but some people use God said to hold you down. You get, and they will now, when you are now saying no, they will now say something like, you better don't lose God's plan for your life. So, I mean, imagine you don't have solid convictions for yourself. Those kinds of people will just hold you down, and
and imagine that person is not really solid in, he's not even sure about what he's saying. So like let's just have our final thoughts. Starting from Dr. Then yeah. So,
All right. So talking about that, right?
yes, you can then your final thoughts. Yes.
Alright, so in general, just I would just love to mention the fact that there's this assumption that people have that relationship I can just get freestyle, I can just get good at it. That's not true actually. From both the men's end and the ladies end, there's a need for it actually to go for motivation. You have to actually like be think of what you're actually going into. Because honestly, I feel like for many of the issues we have nowadays, people have actually done due diligence from their end, like being actually being, getting knowledge about being in a relationship, progress, marriage, and all. Many of the issues do not actually do it. So I'm actually advising, every man or lady that will listen to this to actually don't say that it's not yet time, right? Like when it's time that I'm going to start learning about it, you can start learning about it now. In fact, as I was talking about, as I was talking about emotional intelligence, that should not be something that you should be for your spouse alone. Even your friends.
Friends, yeah.
Should be able to articulate and be able to do even as a man, you are saying presenting your vision to the lady. It's not only just in that place you present your vision, you can also do it in other
areas. So yes.
So it just shows that you just need to like get knowledge from and I also love to say that I think we're going to say that the due process have been followed. That is accountability and all of those things. Very very important stuff, right? Because we're in a situation whereby people are just
freestyling.
Yes. Now you prevented it. The brother told you that okay, he has a vision, quite alright, but there's nobody that is over him, or there's nobody that you can hold accountability.
Submitted to
Miss Blue. You get, and I like he do. So those things, those things you actually avoid a lot of stuff. So concerning the fact that people being spiritual, I've had a personal experience. A friend of mine, a single man of God, right? He told her that she's wife,
yeah.
that he had God. He had God, right? And I think that's coming from a place whereby maybe dealing with some ladies here and there. I can also tell that ladies actually need to work on being able to what's the word?
Their convictions on their own.
Honestly, I think with that is touched on the center. Some of them are looking out to you like that, right? So they need to actually work on that. Because now the reason why some of them fall victim to that is because they are not even sure they can also even hear God about it. This person, maybe you see the person you really stuff like this person can never be wrong. Right? They just take the word and they just take it like that. So ladies should actually work on being able to make their convictions right. So about the fact that guys can do that, but I think that was just talking about the approach of being able to speak to the lady, right? Yes, God said it, right? But that doesn't mean that the person is going to be open for that. Yeah. So I feel like guys also need to learn that the fact that God said it. Does not mean that she say yes.
Yes.
It's just taking like that, right? Doesn't mean she will say yes, right? So be able to have that that peace of mind that, and maybe because maybe some people think that the will of God is one person. That's not true, right? That's the will of God is not because think about it logically, we have 8 billion on the earth. So I'm saying we have about 4 billion. So it says that it means
one person. One person is like this.
Do you get? So that's not true. Right? So that's not true. So just have in mind that.
Amazing.
I think
that was awesome. So all right.
I'll now watch.
So I would just like to continue from where you stopped. Like talking about going for knowledge, and you can't underestimate that when it comes to this choice. You can't underestimate the fact that you need to go for knowledge, because see, this thing, it boils down to your decision. To be honest, you can be led. You can be led because God is your father and God is intentional about you. You can be led, but you will still leave the decision making to be yours. You are still going to be the one that's going to make this choice. And trust me, you can choose your decision, but you won't be able to choose the consequences. So make sure that this decision that you are making will not bring you ahead, it won't bring you bad outcomes. Because if you did not watch that, that could be the end of it. And even though you are led and the person you are led to agree to your terms does not mean that you are sorted, everything is over. No,
So
no, you are still going to put in the work. It doesn't end. Yes, God said you can break. Well, I was talking about the fact that you need to have you need to make some observation before making the decision earlier, because now God said, but you are not from the same place. You don't your maybe your partner now is somebody who is conservative. You are sanguine. You are going to make compromise. So there's a need to learn how this thing is going to work. You are going to need to put in the work. So whether you heard it now or you observe and you make the decision, just know that nothing exempts you from the work. Whether you heard my son,
like
you
So 18 hours vision.
or you saw it,
You still work.
class work, you will
still work.
It's very important. So and make sure that you are making the right decision by the help of God. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Alade.
Okay. I think like I would just love to talk a bit more about in the relationship itself. So I think there is this kind of a probably trend or a wave kind of a thing that when we fulfilled all the necessary stuff, we told Lagbaja, we told Tamedo, we told all of those people, and we started relationship. We've enjoyed the first 6-7 months, all the butterflies moment and all of those stuff, right? So, and maybe along the line, butterflies start to die, which is expected. So I think most of the times the thing that I've noticed that has been happening quite over some time is just that most of the time when moments like that comes, people always look for how to escape. Like you, and I think, and most of the time the commitment is very little. So you just feel like when things are not rosy, or when it looks like the synergy is not that there like before, because before you were used to the fact that it was automatic. Everybody is just nobody making everyone just so okay, but it just means that along the line one person is not having much time like before. Other say, "Oh, I'm tired. This clinic or the clinic." A lot of those, you're not there, or they've offended you. You're like, you are getting to know each other better. Yeah. So you get applause. So you are seeing the applause more. Yeah. So and most of the times, I've noticed that instead of working on that, people see that as instead of fighting for it. Yeah. People always see that as a red flag, and most of the times, always from the sense that people have the notion that, which is not wrong, but I just feel like sometimes you can use a right knowledge wrongly. So when people have the notion that is not one man for me, so that means if I'm out of this, there's still God's will out there. You are using a right knowledge the wrong way. So when you have, because imagine you're starting a relationship with God said. You are starting a relationship with both of you had the conviction that you are sure that God spoke to you, that you saw visions, you gave your words, you share words, right? You fetch water, you start food, you are picking fruit. I mean, you are opening you are going to balance together. You saw you guys in your duplex, all of those stuff. So, but 6 months into the stuff, looks like all of those things you will just disappear. One. So it's such a time to sit down, and that's why dialogue, conversation are very, very important in relationship. They are life of relationship. So you want those are times to have conversation, talk better. Be open-minded. This is what I think has changed. This is what I think we are not doing much better. How do you think we can get better at this? Because I think earlier I was talking about that emotions, people come together can be engineered. you can work it out.
Yes.
That's the truth.
Yes.
So if people don't know this, you would always jump from one relationship to another, to another, to another. You know, I think we're talking about something like this. I was talking about something like this to I was talking about something like this too. I think I was talking about something like that too. I said maybe the way out is that we won't date for long. We just date for 1 month. So we now marry.
That commitment.
Yeah, because
Don't marry December, I'll be picking like
by October, we don't marry like that. Sha go dey be out. Sha say to the mapper. So people don't really want that commitment. And it's not.
I understand why, because sometimes those challenges can be difficult.
Yeah, but you just have to understand that
Really
whether now or later.
Yes.
Always be. In fact, I feel like even in the relationship, you are still the soft side of the challenge. Because in the marriage, yeah. So if you want to overcome this ordeal,
And don't cope with silence.
yeah, like learn to be talk. Learn to be reasonable, be reasonable with your be reasonable with your complaint.
It's not very bad. They don't emphasize the gender. The gender knows themselves now. It's not assume that they know. The gender is not the male gender.
It's not that you should know.
Exactly. Yeah. That is what going on with their mind.
Actually, that's it. You know, be expressive. This is what is happening. I'm not God.
Don't cope with silence.
Not every time the word of knowledge works.
Yeah, exactly.
Relationship, yeah. So it's always okay to talk. You know, sometimes even the reading, when you read, the person will misread.
Yeah, that's right. You see, so it's not what you exactly. Hey, don't tell your man. Don't tell your man that it's done.
So I think people should always prepare for that. Enjoy the butterfly stage. But always expect that time to come. Right? There's a lot more commitment.
And when enough, if you can overcome those stages, it will even be much more beautiful.
That's actually how you get to know each other.
Yes,
that's how you get to know each other.
Get stronger.
That's actually how
so fight for it. And I think I've been privileged to see 1 or 2 relationships like that where they had that, and like they fought for it. I remember one of my friends just say something like, Samuel, like honestly, this relationship has ended, but I will fight for it. I will fight for it. So fight for it, and I believe it would. God will give you yes. Yes, and don't leave the fight to them too, right? Thinking like help. When somebody is fighting for something, like realize that. Like this, there's no best relationship. You are the one that make it the best.
Actually,
there's no best relationship. Every relationship we are looking at out there as like Rosie and all, they fought for it. Don't always. If they're just not going on the other side, when you walk to the other side, you go still collect. So I mean, with this report of thank you so much. It's been an exciting episode here, right? I know we've not been able to touch other areas I wanted to touch. Maybe we are going to have part 3 to talk about like purpose, things like that. But this has been, I believe it has been very helpful for you. Thank you for listening. I do want to like, share, and subscribe. Right? We are recording live at Calitera Studios. Yeah, so do want to book your sessions right here in Calitera Studios. We are located at New Market on Obafemi Awolowo University campus.
This is where
right? Yeah, this is where God's willing. You just come to our studio, you might just meet the bone of your bone. We'll give you at the front door. Actually, so I mean, thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful episode of the School of Growth. My name is Samuel Oluwadla. Bye for now.
I be church boy, Mama train me so. I be church boy, Now so mama train me.